Thank you, folks, and welcome to your third and final session of EDUCAUSE Demo Day CRMs. I am your host, Jason, and I will be with you through this session. As always, please share comments and ask questions for our presenter. If you would like to view closed captioning, you can click the Show Captions button at the bottom of the Zoom room. And I also want to take this opportunity to let you know about a couple of opportunities that we have coming up. So please join us for our next Demo Day, which will actually be in the new year on February 5th. This will be featuring ITSM software, if that's something that's interesting to you. And you can also check out any of the upcoming demo days that we have in the remainder of fiscal year 26 that are listed right there at that second link I put into the chat. Other than that, thank you so much for being with us. And Vadim, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jason. And good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to be with us for the next 45 minutes here. For those of you, I think in the mountain time, I'm sorry, I stand between sort of you and lunch. I will try to make this worthwhile. So what we're here to do is really to try to achieve some lofty goals, to have you think differently about what CRM could be on a college campus, and then also try to convince you that Salesforce is actually a very viable SIS. Those are two goals, very minor things to achieve in the next 30 minutes of demo, but we're gonna go give it a shot. So just really quick, my name is, again, Vadim Gorelick. I'm with Tondro. We are a Salesforce implementation partner. We only do higher education. We don't do anything else. My background, over 30 years in information technology, and majority of that has been spent in higher education. And then for the last 10 years, I have been a consultant, which is implementing Salesforce in higher ed. At this point, I have worked with over 80 higher ed institutions, kind of varying in size from all the way from sort of Ivies to community colleges, for-profits, nonprofits, and so on. What we're going to talk about here is really informed by that experience, by decades of working inside of higher education and then being a consultant for a very long time. And so, without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. So, as I mentioned, we are a transformation partner, and when we think about how we approach implementation of a CRM, typically, we kind of focus on three different areas: process, data, culture. And it is the case that CRM is usually a very sort of uniquely positioned product to try to take advantage and to address all three of these elements. So data, as we all kind of know, doesn't need to be said, data is very fragmented on campus. There are just myriad of systems where it is typically stored, and CRM can act as a central repository, a central sort of normalizing structure for your data. Processes. So this is where your processes are executed in terms of workflows, in terms of how data is being passed from one system to another. And again, CRM is a great facilitator of a process. Certainly, really any CRM, but certainly Salesforce is. Any kind of a workflow can be facilitated within a CRM. And over the course of my career, even as a consultant, we have implemented Salesforce for literally every single use case that we have in higher education, including touching things like financial aid, even though maybe some of the other or some of the deeper topics within financial aid, like disbursement and financial aid awards and so on, are not necessarily something that CRMs do handle. Not that they couldn't, they just don't. But certainly other areas around financial aid can be handled within CRM. But anything from recruiting, prospecting, career services, student advising, alumni advancement, continuing education, industry relations, and so on, any of those processes can be facilitated within the CRM, and we certainly have. And then culture is really how how willing is your team to use the tools that are available to them? How ready are they? And CRMs are uniquely positioned to, again, enhance the culture because of ease of use and the modern interfaces that are typically presented within CRMs and specifically within Salesforce. So we are, as a transformation partner, rely heavily on the CRM as a transformation tool. And really, the traditional thinking is that Salesforce is a CRM, right? And so you can insert Salesforce is great for recruiting or student advising or advancement. And those are sort of traditional ways of thinking about it. But with the advancements of technology that have happened over the last couple of years, especially with the release of the new education cloud, it is our observation that a CRM and especially Salesforce can transition into playing a central role inside of an institution as a sort of an infrastructure piece. Because again, literally any use case that we can think of within higher education can be facilitated within the CRM. So when I was at University of Texas at Austin, I was a staff member. I was the head of enterprise systems at a business school, and I had 85 85 applications that my team was responsible for, and I had 2.5 FTEs. So that's 85 applications that ranged from sort of big applications like an advising solution to tiny little things like course bidding or some augmentation that was custom developed on variety of platforms, and that's really not sustainable with sort of the resources that I had. And so that was really the catalyst for how I moved from being an IT generalist into a Salesforce consultant, because I wanted to come up with a platform that could facilitate all of those 85 different applications into a single platform. And since that time, and this was over 10 years ago, Salesforce has made tremendous inroads into really becoming a tool that is capable of being a centerpiece of your campus infrastructure. In fact, some of the schools with whom we have worked to implement Salesforce as an SIS, which will be sort of the core of what I'm going to show you today. I was speaking to the director of the CRM the other day, and he said that we now look at Salesforce as being the central system that is just has all of our data. All the data is standardized, all the workflows are enabled, and then if we need to share the data out, Salesforce also provides tremendous opportunities to be able to integrate with really any system out there and share the data wherever it needs to go. The first thing is Salesforce absolutely can accommodate any use case that you have on campus. And then the second thing, the big thing that we want to convey here is that Salesforce can be an SIS that is powerful and really supremely capable and can be delivered much faster than your traditional SIS systems. So what I'm going to show you today is really kind of to prime you, right, to three things. And they're kind of based on some of the things that when we talk to schools about having Salesforce installations, and especially Salesforce as an SIS, these are three topics that are specifically resonate as something that schools have hard time fulfilling. Be that with sort of any other traditional SIS or something that is being dictated by just the reality that we're in. So the first thing is flexible term structures. So a single SIS should be able to accommodate for any kind of a term structure, be that traditional semesters or terms that are 6 weeks, 9 weeks in length, 12 weeks in length, or even facilitating something that is like a self-paced learning that does not fit into any term structure, but should still somehow fit into an academic year for the purposes of financial aid. So I will show you sort of the capability of Salesforce in that area. Course registration, again, it is a topic that is usually near and dear to student services hearts, because it is usually an interface that, especially if you have a legacy SIS, is problematic, presents old interface. The integration oftentimes with degree planning and what should the student be taking, that can be disjointed. And so Salesforce presents an opportunity to really present, first of all, not only a modern interface for the course registration, but also a fully integrated experience where exactly what the students should be taking and how are they progressing through the degree is integrated into that experience. So I'll show you that. And then payment plans. So affordability is obviously top of mind within higher education, and having an ability to offer flexible payment options that provide as much flexibility as possible to the student, but also can account for things like third-party payments, financial aid, and so on. Again, it is an area that typically resonates fairly well with schools that we talk to. Now, we can spend days and days talking about this because an SIS would be a big undertaking to demo, but we only have a couple of minutes, and so that's what I'm going to focus on. So I'll just skip that and just jump right into the demo, because I'm pretty sure that that's what you guys want to see, that not the typical consultant slides. So if you've never seen Salesforce, this is a typical Salesforce homepage. Any element of it is extremely customizable. In fact, most of the interfaces that you see in a modern CRM systems actually comes from Salesforce and the innovations and advancements that it's made in presenting the data. So any element of this is fully customizable, the dashboards or anything else. And what appears here is also fully changeable. But let's jump into the academic terms. And so here we see, again, this is just a presentation of a kind of few different terms. So we have academic years, and in order to create a term, all we need to do is simply say, okay, I want to create a new term. And from here, so depending on your institution's requirements, we can modify any of these fields that are related to the term information. And so we can just say name. So let's say we can say weeks 20 through 25. It doesn't really matter what you name it, as long as you have a naming convention that you're following. You can assign it to a season, or you don't have to, or we can take that off if that's not what you're doing. You can have a display name. So there is a different name, an internal name, and then if you wanted to have a separate name that is different for how students see it, you can enter that here. So here we can say full semester, full term 2, for example. And then we can assign it to an academic year. Let's say this is a 25-26, and then we can define any number of data points that you typically would want to track about a specific term. So for example, census date, we can define that. When does it start? Let's say this starts on November 1st, and then it ends on November 30th. And really, that is the flexibility that typically is required of creating semesters that are varying in length, and any information that you have that you want to associate with the term is definable right in here. So if you needed to have kind of different group registration dates, so however you define those groups, whether that be by, let's say, freshman, sophomore, or members of a particular population, however you want to define it, we can accommodate for registration of open dates. When do we want to close it? Is this term open for application? And then any kind of dates that are associated specifically with admissions. Timelines. So when can it open? When can you stop applying? International, domestic deposit dates, and so on. Any kind of a term deadlines. So semester break, graduation, any information is there. Any registration payment deadline. So when should the payments be required? When do we want to calculate hold? And so within the financials, when do we want to release statements? So we can make that either date-based, or we can just give you an opportunity to release it manually. Most of our SIS clients choose to release statements manually. Any kind of housing, if there is any funnel stages that are appropriate, and really any other piece of information that you want to associate with a term, you can define on the term, and then create workflows, accommodate for different deadlines and processes, and so on, from the screen. If you wanted to create, so more and more we see sort of need for flexible or self-paced learning that is still aligned to academic year, so that we can still participate in all of the financial aid and return to Title IV and so on and so forth. So if that was the case, and let's say your academic year starts on July 1st, well, you could go in here and you could simply say that our term is July 1 to June 30th, and essentially create a term that is kind of tied to an academic year. And so in that way, when they take a class, it would still be within a specific academic term, and that term is aligned to an academic year. And so you can continue to do that. And then for the following year, we would just create one more term, again, also academic year long, and continue to allow registrations. And so by clicking save, we are essentially allowing, we've created the term, and then from here we can start to assign sessions. We can create term enrollments, special dates, and so on and so forth. So any information is available right here. So that is sort of creation of academic term that is flexible in nature. It's as easy as that. It's simply creation of a record that has all of the necessary dates assigned to it, and then you can set up your workflows based on that. All right. So that's our that is our first demo. So let's talk about the course registrations. So we have a student, Charles BSCS. Why Charles BSCS? Well, because they're applying to BSCS degree, so we kind of thought we'll name them accordingly. So this is an example of what a student record could look like. So you have their name, you have a student ID, you have a timeline, so a full timeline of their interactions with you. So you can see here there was a peer advisor meeting on November 12th, and then there was an advising meeting, then there was a call regarding financial hold, and there was an email sent, and there is a registrations check-in that's scheduled for December 8th. So you could really expand the timeline and move it and kind of get a sense for all of your interactions. You have the details of the student. I mean, all of this should seem somewhat familiar to you. Again, any element of this screen is fully configurable. Again, we're also seeing the full list of their interactions here as well. We can see what courses that they're enrolled in, and we can expand that. See, these are the four that they're enrolled in. We can see that they're enrolled in Bachelor of Science in Computer Science 2025. That's the program that they're enrolled in, and then we can see kind of any related records. We can see that this person has been they're pre-registered for fall 2025, they're registered for spring 26, and so on and so forth. So you can, any information that you have about a student is presented on a single screen because Salesforce is acting as an SIS here. And if you have their advising and admissions in Salesforce, then all of those records are integrated right into your screen. So I'm going to log in as this student. This is an example of what a portal could look like, a student portal could look like. Again, it's endlessly modifiable and customizable, so we can make it look like really anything. But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to the course registration list. And so here we see a we see the registration screen, and if there are any kind of warning messages, so for example, if they had holds, we can present that right here. We just kind of, in preparation for the demo, we registered the student and then dropped them. So that's why you see sort of that message that the recent class drops, your current registration no longer meets the minimum credit requirement. That's because of how we did it. But anyways, so on the left-hand side here, you see the degree plan. So you see exactly what they should be registered for. So for example, here we have a requirement for them to register for professional and technical writing. And there's a 3 credit requirement and they have already completed 3 credits, so they don't need to do anything about that. But for example, they have engineering courses pool. They are required to take 30 credits and they have completed 0. So let me just go ahead and view all of the different courses that meet that specific criteria pool. So we can see, for example, how to tell your story, App 101. They have App 104. This has 2 available sections, 1 available section. We can view sections. So this particular course is Tuesday to Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Enrollment capacity, modality on campus, and so on. So let's go ahead and just register for this course. And if we look at the calendar, you can see that that course is actually added right there. So then let's see, we want to go in and look at this. Okay, so they have Calculus 2. Let's add that course as well. Now math is loaded. And so you can continue to sort of build out your course schedule. I'm going to go ahead and just move forward and say that, let's say we want to register. So from here, we're essentially doing any kind of calculations on what are the requirements that this person must meet. And so you can see it errored out. Minimum course load is 6. So let's just go ahead and add a few more courses. We're doing great here. We can do things like, for example, you can see that the registration is closed for this because it reached enrollment capacity. Um, there are so here we have a conflict, but let's just keep going and add a few more courses and then try to register again. And we have additional. So from here, if I try to register, we have a time conflict. So I will have to make a decision on what it is that I want to do. So essentially a full, let me just remove that and remove the CS4 55. So a full check of whatever requirements. So for example, if they couldn't have taken the 435, then that would error out as well, and so on. So quite a lot of um, checks can be built in and created in a way that is fully customizable to your specific school requirements. So let's go ahead and complete that registration process. We can see Calculus 2 were waitlisted and the other two were enrolled. And we can see that there is an outstanding term balance of $1,528, which is directly reflected and calculated based on registration in real time. So I'll come back to that. I did want to show you a few more things sort of that are just become a matter of course within a Salesforce as an SIS. So for example, we are here at Mary MBAs, and we are going to go into her academic enrollment record. So something like a degree audit becomes, well, for the lack of a better term, academic. Because course registrations are measured in real time, we can just simply hit the degree audit and see a full up-to-date list of everything that that Mary is enrolled in. And incidentally, it is the same interface that is viewed by Mary. So if I was to go to Mary and log in as an experienced into the student portal, I could go into academic services, academics, and view degree audit and see exactly the same thing, see my progress right now based on what I have completed, what I'm registered for, and what's remaining to be done. So that is our next item up for bids. And then, so because the registrations and degree progress are all integrated, then also things like financials become also sort of tightly integrated. And so at any given point in time, you can come in to Mary's what we call student ledger and see exactly all of the different transactions that she has had. And then we can also do something like, for example, come in to her academic term enrollment. And so within each term, we can see, so she was, we can see that she's pre-registered, she should be registered. But so you can see all of the information related to specific term enrollments for each term that Mary was enrolled. So we can see exactly what courses she participated in. We can see if there were any holds, if there were any scheduled payments, and if she had like what was exactly added to her bill, and how much did she pay, and so on and so forth, and then we can generate a statement directly from here that would sort of show exactly what she's doing, and that statement would be also available for her to view in real time. But if we were to say, if we were to go back to Charles, sorry, let me quickly jump into here and go back and log in as Charles. I can also pop over into billing and go into the payment plan. So, well, first of all, I can view the statement. So here's a statement for spring 2026. It's based on the 2 courses that we have already been enrolled in. Any fees are listed on the statement, and so we can see that the grade is in progress, and and uh, and how much the bill is. So from here, we can go in and we can start to create a payment plan. So the payment plans can be completely customizable, again, based on how you would like to see the payment plans laid out. So there were some schools who chose sort of a completely flexible payment structure where the balance is essentially stretched out over however many weeks are left until the end of the term, and then the student, that's kind of like the maximum amount of payments that they can make, 1 payment per week. And then any student can essentially say, no, I want to make, let's say, 4 different payments, or I want to make 6 payments. And as long as it doesn't exceed the number of weeks that are left between now and the end of the term, then the system automatically kind of decides, okay, you are we're going to divide this balance by 6, and this is what your each payment is, and these are your due dates. This particular implementation, the way we kind of set this up was to say, well, we're going to split it up into 4 payments. The first payment is due when you register, and you also have to pay the fees. So not just the tuition, but you also have to pay any fees during registration. And then from there, you could say, okay, we're going to split it up into 3 remaining payments. And here you can go ahead and just execute the payment right away. And so that would automatically reflect there. And then again, if you were to look at the term, then you would see the payments reflected right on this term statement. So full flexibility and full definition. So the biggest question that we often get asked is, well, okay, how long does this take to implement? And the truth of it is that for a mid-market school, a Salesforce as an SIS implementation takes about 10 months on average to implement. And I do mean 10 months. So not, hey, we're going to start at 10 and we're going to drag it out into 18, not 24. Sort of that's the typical SIS implementation timelines that you're used to. But because of the flexibility of Salesforce, going from scratch to a fully implemented Salesforce SIS that is modern and gives you flexibility to work in the way that you wish to work, it's about 10 months implementation cycle, obviously depending on how many integrations, like data migrations that we have to do, and so on and so forth. And so that is an extremely quick, but also extremely effective timeline that is there. So at this point, are there any questions that you guys have? Okay, no questions, as far as I can see. So a couple of things that we wanted to kind of also talk about is that, so because a CRM is a very flexible and a very malleable platform. It allows us to do all kinds of things and plug in all kinds of elements. So we have a Tondro AI section of our business that is focused on creating agentic solutions that work natively inside of Salesforce. Some of them are based on Agentforce, so Salesforce's native agentic platform, and some of them are based on external tools. But one of the big things that we are that schools are really jumping on adapting, and we've only launched this tool last month, and we already have 7 schools that are in the process of implementing it, and that is transcript. So when you think about how when during the admissions process the students or the applicants provide a transcript, and we need that data extracted from that transcript, and then we need that data to be mapped to course equivalencies, and all of that is actually fully facilitated within Salesforce. And it, generally speaking, the most committed school that we know of in terms of turning around a fully evaluated transcript takes about 24 hours to do that. In many instances, that takes a lot longer. With use of Tondro AI extract transcripts, we can cut that timeline down from the moment when the applicant gives you their transcript to the moment when that transcript is fully evaluated and returned to the student is about 2.5 minutes. So taking it from days to minutes. And it all works inside of Salesforce, and it is uh, fully agentic. If you would like to hear more about that, we will have a webinar on December 10th. Check our website, tondro.ai, for that. But again, this goes back to the point that I have been making from the beginning, which is the CRM is should really be the centerpiece of your um, campus infrastructure, and because of how malleable and how customizable typical CRM is, which is far more customizable than any traditional education system that we're kind of used to operating. So that is our presentation. Again, thanks so much for taking the time, and we really look forward to speaking with you and seeing you in the ecosystem.
Thank you, Vadim. I really appreciate that. I just want to take this opportunity to call folks' attention to a few things in the chat. So Michelle definitely posted the Tondro.ai link, so you can action that out right now from the chat, as well as there's a few links from our side on EDUCAUSE. A reminder that all the recordings and resources from this demo, as well as today's, will be available on the academy.educause site there. We also want to invite you to our next demo day, which is on February 5th, which is featuring ITSM software. And if you are looking for other topics, we just rolled out a bunch of the registration pages for the remainder of fiscal year 26. So there's about 5 or 6 pages that are already live for next year's demo days. So feel free to check those out. And we have that in-session survey here, which we'll share with Tondro afterwards with your feedback. So we really appreciate you completing that. And Vadim and Michelle, thank you so much on behalf of EDUCAUSE. Really appreciate it. And take care. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.